Ladies, gentlemen, gentle people, gentle gender fluids, gentle undecideds, whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, welcome to episode 32 of Apologies. Jeez, I can't even talk. I got a tooth out. Apologies up front. I'm your host, a very slightly apologetic and not apologizing or not feeling sorry, and for legal reasons. You'll have to call me Keego, and let me just switch off the Google GPS thing. Episode 32. Wow. This really wasn't a good idea, was it? eventually, I'm going to say something that gets me in real trouble. But yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second. But no, firstly, it's Thursday. And I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. I hope the sun is shining inside you as well as outside. I've taken some pre-workout, I thought, as I'm driving, enjoying the last few days before work starts on Tuesday next. I thought I would have a quick chat to you because I'm driving towards beautiful Greystones. Well, Greystones is like an even more arrogant doggy. But it's not a bad spot, some decent spots for coffee. I'm going to hit a few golf balls because yes, it has happened. I used to be good at golf, used to be quite good at golf, and then I hit puberty. And golf and the male hormones as you're growing up, they don't really mix. So I started throwing around too many golf clubs, throwing too many straps, calling everything gay because it was the 90s. That's not me being anti-gay. Just if you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, went to school in the mid 90s, everything was gay. And you were gay, like if you were the last one to touch the door. Do you know what I mean? It was a different time. A different place. If something went wrong, it was gay. If something went right, it was grand. And you were gay if you talked to a girl. That's how weird times were. Oh, look, he's holding hands with his girlfriend. That's gay. All that sort of stuff. If you weren't there, you wouldn't understand. It's just history. We don't do it anymore. That's the good thing. But I'm just explaining to you that back in the day, when hormones hit, I couldn't play golf because I couldn't keep my temper in check. But I started played a couple of weeks ago in Killarney with the guys. Really enjoyed it. Remained calm. Nothing was gay. Nobody got angry. And so the bug has kind of hit me again, and I started hitting the golf ball a couple of times. And I might start playing again, but it's more to just get out, get away. But yeah, your boy got in trouble. It's not real trouble. It's Twitter, so it's not real trouble. The only wordy issue, upsetting thing is, I've lost a few friends I've lost one friend actually who I actually really like, respect, and enjoyed that friendship, but that's gone now, which is fine. That this is what happens. You grow up and all that sort of stuff. It's just a pity because conversations that happen on Twitter very rarely end well. They're very rarely. It's different when you're talking to someone in the real world. You and I would sit across, have a coffee, disagree, but talk it through. Just us, you know what I mean? Whereas with Twitter, people jump in at different points in the conversation and they don't read the conversation, and everything kind of goes off on weird tangents. So I got in trouble on Twitter, but not in the real world. So it's interesting. The last chat we had, I think it was Monday or whatever, it was just about free speech and how I find it's very, very important. It's also dangerous. And it's also can be hurtful. But the fact that conversations and things are allowed to be said, I think, is a fundamental aspect of life. And that if we were to shut down one aspect of it, then, eventually it becomes, like North Korea. And only certain things can be said at certain times, and that's dangerous. But the problem is, when it's free speech, there is the opportunity for people to get hurt. And then that comes back to the intent of a conversation. The intent, certainly when I'm talking, is never to hurt anyone. The problem is, I may end up saying hurtful things. And that's when the conversation takes place. And the problem is that if that conversation is on Twitter, which is already a demented cesspool of a place, and the conversation is very rarely one-on-one. It's where things can be talked through and understood and even educated, because like there's no high horse stuff. The problem is then people jump into different points and tangents, and people get on high horses and things like that. So yeah, so what I was talking about, just to follow on from the chat, there was something about it ended up being about Linehan, the Father Ted guy. And I talked about in the last episode. I know nothing about the guy outside of the Father Ted, which is brilliant. My point is, I'm a free speech guy, and that's it. Like, that's kind of a very fundamental thing. Now, the problem is people say if you're a free speech guy, then you agree with everything that he says. Or you agree with everything, who's the other one? J.K. Rowling. I haven't really investigated what she said. I'm sure it's bad. But if you say you're pro-free speech, that means you're pro what they've said. And that's not the case. And if you're grown up with a brain, you know that's not the case. I'm pro people saying what they want to say. Because if people are shut down, we end up in North Korea. But of course, I'm not pro anyone saying shitty things, which, you do a little bit of investigation on these people. I'm sure what they've said is shitty things. I'm not talking about like the stuff, people think when I say I got in trouble, I've said something about gender, I've said something about, trans people. I haven't said anything like that. All I've said is people are free to say what they want. I haven't even talked about, what toilets people use or any of that sort of stuff. That would be really controversial. Because if someone asks me what my opinion is, I say, go speak to your mum, go speak to your sister, go speak to your auntie, and ask them what they would think if I was to transition, what they would feel if I was in a bathroom with them, or if I was in a changing room with them, or something like that. They're the people you need to speak to. My opinion means nothing. And even that is controversial. But I didn't say anything like that. All I said was free speech is important. And so, yeah, the lesson I learned is don't say things like that on Twitter, because you assume then that a normal conversation will happen. It won't happen. I don't think anyone, because people call me names, and it's like, that's free speech. That's cool. You've misunderstood the entire operation, but that's cool. You're free to say it. I'm a big boy. You can call me whatever you want. Because for the most part, as I said to you, there's one friendship that I've lost, which is I'm upset about it. The rest of the people jumping in, I really don't care what their opinion is. Like, genuinely and honestly, I don't care. There is one opinion that I do care about, and eventually I'll reach out to they, them, and hopefully have a cup of coffee and discuss it. But if that friendship is gone, it's gone, and that's upsetting. And I think that's gone based on me talking on Twitter, because things kind of escalate as opposed to one-to-one. So everyone learns and everyone educates. But it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like, the only thing that I was saying was not what the person is saying, but they should be free to say it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong. I disagree with what this person in this example was saying, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't seem to matter. It seems to be the fact that I feel everyone should be free to say what they want. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, and that's grand. Like, if that's an incorrect way of looking at life, that's cool. If you feel that people should be censored, that's cool. That's fine. I keep having to repeat these things, but like, if you want me to call you something, I will call you with respect and love. If you feel the need to educate me, I will welcome that conversation. But the problem is, it's never that. It's kind of this kind of weird thing, So yeah, that's the thing I'm going to learn from this week. I'll just use Twitter for sharing funny clips, sharing wrestling clips of Terry Funk, because he died this week. If you're a wrestling fan, that's a tough one to take, even though he was an old guy and he was suffering from dementia and all that sort of stuff. He's one of these kind of figures, a bit like Sinead O'Connor, Shane McGowan, who's sick, Christy Dignam, all these kind of people who you kind of feel are going to just live forever. He was one of those guys. But even for non-wrestling fans, if you were to sit and watch Terry Funk on YouTube, you would enjoy it. Just a crazy fella from Texas. So I'll be sharing more clips of Terry Funk. But yeah, like social media isn't very social. You know, like it's 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 weird what's happened. I kind of talk about sharing stuff that you like or stuff that makes you happy. It's not a place really for conversation. You know, it's not really a place for news even anymore. I don't even know if it ever was. I keep saying Twitter was always a cesspit. You know, I've switched off news. I've switched off everything, and I've done it for a while because there's no real need to hurt myself. You know, looking for news, all that sort of stuff. But there you go. That's the thing. You know, if you follow me on Twitter at Keegolaughs _IRL, I think it's just going to be me sharing gigs, funny memes that will probably offend someone, and probably wrestling clips. And it won't be really me engaging in any sort of conversation anymore because there's no need for it, you know. But just if you are speaking to me and it's a serious topic, know that it's only an opinion and it's not something I am trying to hurt you with. I don't even expect anyone to take my opinion seriously on anything, but anything I do say is not said with any malice. But if you take it that way, there is nothing I can do once I say that it's not with malice. And in terms of this week, all I've said is free speech is important. That does not mean you agree with everything every human says ever. It just means that you think everyone should be allowed to express themselves. And then the world will figure you out. That's kind of it, really. But yeah, no, in terms of gigs and things like that, starting to pick up again back in the International on Sunday for a very interesting comedy on the spot show, which will be great fun. I think it kicks off Sunday, 7:00, I think. So nice and early. You'll be on the last train, or well before the last train home. Should be. I haven't, to be totally honest, my mind's gone blank. I've had so much coffee. I don't really know where I am, but yeah, it should be good fun. The Inter's always a bit of crack. The guys telling me it's sold out, which is great. That'll be good fun. And then we start rolling into a couple of gigs up in Belfast. And then we're all over the place really for the next while as we get set for the 13th of October. So the way I'm gonna say, I think it's going to be called I Confuse Easy, a 1981 brain in 2023. And it's just going to be me talking to you for 45 minutes, an hour. I'm going to find someone who'll open the show, warm the place up, and then I will, some guy nearly drove into me there, and then I will come on and talk to you. It'll be in Crowbar in Dublin. You'll start seeing posters popping up towards the end of this month, maybe early September. So the way I'm saying this is, if you like me, come along and support, have a bit of fun, have a couple of pints. If you don't like me, this is your opportunity to come along and say, I told you so. It's your opportunity to come along and say someone who's a baby in the game shouldn't be going and doing their own show, shouldn't be doing 45 minutes to an hour of the original material, some of which people have stolen, so he had to write new stuff. This is your opportunity. So come along, sit there and just wait for me to take a massive dump on the stage, metaphorically. I probably won't do it in real life. Unless I have a couple of Senecot the day before and I can't really, I'm 42, I can't control my body like I used to. I've got an erection right now and I can't stop it. No, I don't. It's not you, it's me. I can't get an erection anymore. Sorry, I fear I said too little. Maybe I should call it that. But no, that's what it's going to be. So come along and either laugh with me or just be happy to know that you're right. But the problem is, it's gonna be a great show. You're actually gonna get to know me. You're going to understand how my 1981 brain works in 2023. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna have fun. And then if you're a comedian, you're gonna watch it back or think about it and go, this guy, was it a perfect show? Far from it. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Were the jokes well constructed? 100%. Why didn't I do it? You see, I'm three years in the game, 2 years COVID, and I'm tooting my own horn here because it's got to be done. If I'm doing the work, there's a lot of people who are lazy who haven't done it. There's a lot of great, really hard-working comedians that I talk to all the time, and they're brilliant. And I take a huge amount of motivation from them. They're always out pushing, hustling, whether they've been hired by clubs or as regulars, or they're out there running around the world, running around the country, going to Edinburgh, all this sort of stuff, and really knocking their bollocks and or vaginas in. I love and respect each and every one of you, and I actually drag as much motivation from that as maybe a bit more than I should, because you're all really, really brilliant. But there are a lot of lazy ones out there. And with this show, I'm going to be surpassing a few lazy comedians, and I will gleefully do so. But here's what we'll do: come along, have fun. It's a long way away, okay, long way away. But come along, have fun, and you'll either be right by saying I shouldn't do it and can't do it, or you'll just enjoy yourself, which is what life is like. People talk about playing the game. No, I'm too old for that. I keep saying I'm 42. I'm too old. If you don't want to hire a comedian, cool. If you want to talk shit about a comedian, cool. If you want to steal stuff from a comedian, that's pretty bogey, but it just shows where you are. I don't talk shit about people. I don't really have the time for it. The only person I talk shit about is the tax man, because I don't like what he does to me every week. But I just think a little bit of reset's needed, certainly on everyone's part, my part, everybody's part. Just be cool. No one. I think it's an interesting thing. No one. I don't think what's the phrase? If you knew how little people thought about you, you would be disappointed at how much you cared about it. Something like that. I can't remember. I've been hitting the head many times. At the end of the day, no one cares, except for your family and your close friends. I think part of what I said hurt a close friend, and that's something I need to work on down the line, expressing myself a little bit better, or not expressing myself on social media, doing it in person. I'm just kind of rambling here, guys. It's been an interesting week, and we roll into an interesting weekend. Ireland are playing Samoa on Saturday as we get rolling towards the World Cup. I think we've got to start verbalizing things to ourselves. If you will it, dude, it is no dream, as the great Walter Sobchak said in The Big Lebowski. We're going to win the World Cup. We've got to start saying these things. We were going to win the Grand Slam. You are brilliant. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. That's why I say it in the intro. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is respected. You are brilliant at whatever you're doing. You got to believe in yourself. It's like trying to teach my kids the tables, times tables, because I remember what it was like to learn them back at my house. It's a very different game now. You got to be nice to people, reaffirming themselves. The answers to everything is new is inside us. Trust yourself, believe in yourself, and take the opinions of people close to you to heart. They'll always steer you right. Don't take cues from social media. It's all filtered, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's all whatever the other ones are. I'm sure there's millions of them. I don't know. I can't use too many of them. Everything's filtered. All comments on Twitter are kind of, let's see what's happening here and then react. Not everyone's trying to hurt you. Not everyone cares enough to try and hurt you. Some opinions can just float in the air. Not everyone needs your opinion on everything. Not everyone's trying to hurt you. Look in the mirror and be as happy as you're going to be. Passing the leaving cert, 70%, because I think if you get higher than that, you're a psychopath. If you love yourself too much, you go a bit mad. So let's just love ourselves enough. Just, kind of 70%, 75%, let's love ourselves, but never in public or on a bus. At home, You can love yourself. Just be nice to yourself. But just to reiterate, going back to the first point, free speech is important. But when someone says that, they're not agreeing with every single thing every single human being has ever said in the history of the world. Let's. The world is not black and white. The world is grey. But here's the deal. I'm going to finish the same way as I did on Monday. And if anyone wants to correct me, if you have my number, that means I value your opinion. If you have my email address, that means I'll listen. If you have neither of those, I'm not really interested. So keegolaughs@gmail.com. If you have my number and you feel you need to speak to me, I would welcome that conversation. But let's hug those we love. Let's tolerate those we don't. Let's always look sexy in a pair of tight jeans. Although life is a bit like a pair of tight jeans, isn't it? Like sometimes you can look awkward. You know, one false move and the whole thing falls apart. But if you do it right, you'll always have a sexy arse.